In the region of the world where I grew up, as a child I spent every winter surrounded by abundant snowfall and bitterly freezing temperatures. I could wade through snowdrifts up to my chest and dig little caverns in snowbanks in which my whole body could fit. I am someone who comes alive in the cold. Now I live in a different part of the world, and my body isn't accustomed to winter here, and I become terribly homesick for the climate in which I spent my first 22 years. Luckily, I visited a friend living nearby who also grew up in a snowy place, and she drove us up a little mountain in a storm just to chase a few moments of home. It felt so precious, I cried and didn't want to leave. The longing is heavy because I know that these icy winters of my childhood also no longer really exist where I grew up either. Every year brings less and less snow. The first frost arrives later, and the cold is milder. Winter, as I know and love it in my bones from childhood, is changing form as the planet warms and as I move from place to place to place. I've lived in this house for 3 Christmases, each one warmer than the last. Each December, the bird feeder hosts fewer birds. The darkness of the days is often the only winter quality that feels familiar to me. I love observing the seasons, but being an observant person this winter has mostly brought me feelings of grief about coming of age far from home, in a world changing at a rate difficult to comprehend. Powerful people around the world start wars and exploit and preserve status quo, and in the meantime the ice melts or doesn't even form to begin with. So, is it any wonder that holidays can become an especially disorienting time? At year's end, I find myself retreating inward to stillness and contemplation. After some final glimpses of sunlight on frosty mornings early in the month, December pinched shut for weeks of grey darkness leading to the winter solstice. In that long dark, my rhythms blurred into a haze of sleepiness and quietude. As 2024 came to a close, I found some solace and flow by making a craft project. The idealized image of a holiday season is one of comfort, good cheer, and coziness. And of course it's important to help loved ones, especially our children, still feel safe and joyful in some beautiful moments. Yet, with the backdrop of this larger current moment in history, Christmas as usual feels bittersweet to me. The tension between what we are societally expected to feel and what we might actually feel generates dissonance. How strange it is to go through the motions of sheltering from the cold while the cold grows less so. So I present to you some simple escapism. A tiny Christmas mouse. I named him Pietro Pavarotti. And I imagine he sings arias about cheese, reads about cheese in the newspapers, and makes paintings of his favorite cheeses while he eats cheese at tea time. If you didn't experience a picture-perfect holiday season that society always seems to expect, you aren't alone. Savor the moments of joy and light when they do come. I hope you can use the inward curl of solstice season to ultimately unfurl and activate against what grieves you. And if you need to, make an adorable mouse, or your own creative equivalent of an adorable mouse. I, for one, will understand. See you next year. Too much Christmas brandy.